Hey everyone, welcome back to the Economic Eagle channel. Today we're going to be talking about financial mistakes that nearly everyone makes at some point in their life. Hopefully, for those of you that might not have ran across these mistakes, maybe I can prevent you from making them. But just remember, money obviously is not the key to happiness. However, it does give you the possibility of financial freedom. With more money, you have more responsibilities, but you also have more opportunities. All right, so the 5 biggest financial mistakes that a lot of people make. Number 1 would be no budget, no clue. So I've stressed this in numerous videos. I mean, we've dedicated a whole video for budgeting. But living paycheck to paycheck can stress anyone out, and I can't wish that on anybody, because it's not knowing if you're going to be able to pay your car payment, pay your house payment, your electric bill. I mean, that's freaking stressful, and that's not fun for anybody, especially if you have a family, especially if you have toddlers, kids. They don't understand, and it's just stressful all the way around, right? So we have to budget. We have to know where our money is going. We get in $2,000 and we keep going to $2,000, but we get in $2,000 of income every month. We got to know where it's going. We got to know. We got to have a plan, have that roadmap, so we can make smarter decisions, right? So we do all this so we can make better financial decisions, so that our lives are better off in the future. Now, again, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon, so it won't happen over a month, 2 months. It'll take time, but I can almost guarantee you, if you start budgeting today, stay disciplined, you'd be a whole lot better off a year from now. So that's just tip number 1, right? So financial mistake number 2 is plastic fantastic. So credit cards and debit cards is so convenient. However, it can be very disastrous as well. So, I mean, almost everywhere you go, stores, gas stations, etc., they're all taking plastic. So it's you don't even have to go to the bank and get money out. This is why I said in one of my videos before, the envelope method is kind of hard to do nowadays for budgeting, because you don't have the cash, and it's more of a hassle, to be quite honest. However, if you just keep swiping that card and you're not paying attention, you're not balancing your checkbook. I mean, we don't do that anymore anyway, but you have to understand, when I swiped that thing for $100, my balance of $2,000 just went to $1,900, and you got to keep track of that. And again, we don't have that checkbook to write all this stuff down nowadays. But then again, we do have technology where we can get on our phones and our apps and see our banking real time. So that's better in that sense. But credit cards, debit cards, they just make it easier for anybody to spend money. Because I mean, I can go in my pocket. If I had $20 in my pocket, I can only spend $20. There's nothing, I can't go to every store and say, hey, I want to pay $25 with $20. It just doesn't work that way, right? Unless you have a good rapport with that business owner. But plastic, you always have access to your full bank account at any given time, and that's the problem. So if you're not disciplined, be very cautious with plastic. All right, number 3, we're going to talk about not having an emergency fund. So again, we've talked before about having 2 types of emergency funds: the $1,000 bare minimum emergency fund, and then a 3 to 6 months emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses emergency fund. So not having the first one, we already talked about 60% of Americans can't deal with a $1,000 bill, an unexpected $1,000 bill. So that's where that comes in, because we all have problems, right? Something always comes up. Life's never going to be perfect. Car's going to break down. We had our freaking water drain, our water into our house busted, and we ended up having to pay like a $400 water bill one month. I mean, that's unexpected. However, if I was living paycheck to paycheck, I would have been really stressed out, right? We would have had to cut some corners, cut some costs, and make that up. However, luckily, because I'm not living in consumer debt, we didn't have that problem. So that basic emergency fund would have saved me there. And then also the next type of emergency fund, the 3 to 6 months of expenses, if you were to get laid off, if something big was to happen, you have a cushion there. You can survive 3 to 6 months without having to worry a whole lot. You can have plenty of time to look for a job or whatever. So it's always good to have both of those as soon as you can. I mean, again, we talked about this before. Your basic $1,000 needs to be done now. You have to get it now. Sell stuff, start a side hustle, whatever. Get it now. Your 3 to 6 months expenses fund, yeah, it'd be nice to have. However, let's get out of debt first. I think that's the proper way to do it, because you can think of it this way. So if you're spending $1,000 a month in debt, you have to cover that in your emergency fund. So once you cut that out, you only have your mortgage, your lights, your water, your internet, whatever. I mean, you only have those few basic bills, and that's why it makes it so easy to make the 3 to 6 months emergency fund once you have your consumer debt like credit cards, student loans, and car payments knocked out of the way. All right, going on to mistake number 4, putting off retirement. So a lot of companies, if you're a full-time employee, they give you a percentage that they'll match. So if you're putting in 5-6%, they usually match 3%, 4%, 6%. They'll work with you, they'll match with you. That's what that means. They call it free money. And don't get that confused with this next mistake. But this free money that they're giving you a lot of times doesn't have any stipulations. Now, I've heard of some places where you have to work there X number of years in order to not have to give that money back, but that's only hearsay. I've never seen that in person. So putting off for retirement, though, has a terrible effect, because money takes a long time to grow. I mean, if you put money in the stock market today, it's probably going to take 20 years for it to compound good enough, right? I don't have the data on me now, but if you're gaining 10%, if you're getting an 8% return, it's probably going to take you 12 years to double your money. So if you had $1,000 in 12 years, you might as well, you could almost say it's going to be $2,000. Well, that took 12 freaking years. So the longer you put it off, the harder it's going to be to compound, because that 12 years, you can't make that back, right? So if you start saving for retirement at 50, even if you're putting in a lot of money, it doesn't have the time to compound. That's how people make it rich. I don't know if you guys have heard of Warren Buffett, but that's one of the richest men out there, and he did it by investing early and just buying good stocks. But not to get too sidetracked on that. Start retirement early, because you can't guarantee what the government's going to give you in Social Security, if you're going to have that when you turn 65, 70, whatever. All right, so the last one is free money. So don't be fooled by free money, because free is very rarely free, right? So anytime you say, let me start that free trial, let me do this, do that, that free trial is free. But especially if you have to enter your credit card information, you better make sure you put a notification in your phone to cut that off if you don't want that service, because they're just going to come back and take the money, right? My wife and I do sometimes, we'll get good coupons for the mail-in meals, or whatever it's called, that you get from the mail. And we've been burned by that too. They say, all right, well, just sign up here and get your stuff. You get 7 meals for $20, whatever, something like that. Oh, that's good. As soon as you don't turn that thing off, they charge you freaking like $60 or $70 for 7 meals. And it's just like, holy cow, this is why we've done that like twice. We've gotten burned on it twice. And that's exactly why we don't do it anymore. So just be mindful, set a reminder, and again, free is not always free, even with like credit cards, right? So if you have a good credit card, you get cash back rewards or travel mileage or whatever, you get flights. However, if you're freaking late on your payment, they're charging you like $35 for a late fee. They're charging you interest, 20% or so interest. Holy crap. So I mean, again, it's nice. They give you free rewards, but you got to make sure you pay it off on a monthly basis. I mean, you can't let that balance roll over. And then obviously getting free stuff from the government's never really free. I mean, look at this COVID situation. They gave us all this free money, and now we're dealing with 40-year record high inflation. I mean, it's freaking ridiculous. I mean, everybody wants something for free, but it's going to cost you in the long run. I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, from subscriptions, credit cards, to free money from the government. I mean, they all look good at first, but it's going to hurt you in the long run. All right, so these are the 5 financial mistakes that I'm hoping that you correct as soon as possible, or don't ever have to deal with, because it is very taxing on you, right? So we all want financial freedom. You need to budget the right way. Budgeting shouldn't be overwhelming, shouldn't be stressful. It just makes you have a game plan and a better financial future. So if you got something out of this, don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment in the section below if you got any different ideas or different mistakes that people might have or that you have done yourself. I'd be glad to see them. All right, guys. Until next time, have a good one.